Did you know that the most beautiful being in all of creation has been transformed into one of the most dangerous warriors in existence? Meet Jophiel, whose name means beauty of God, and who possesses such overwhelming divine beauty that looking directly at him can destroy human minds. But here's the shocking twist. This angel of perfect beauty now guards the entrance to the Garden of Eden with a flaming sword that can cut through both matter and spirit. Why would God take his most beautiful angel and turn him into a weapon of exclusion? What happened in Eden that required such extreme measures? And what does Jophiel's transformation from pure beauty into armed guardian reveal about the true cost of human rebellion? The Bible mentions the flaming sword that guards Eden, but it doesn't tell you about the angel who wields it, or why divine beauty became the perfect tool for keeping humanity away from paradise. But here's what will really shock you. Jophiel's mission isn't just about guarding a garden that existed thousands of years ago. His flaming sword is preparing for a role in the end times that will determine who gets access to the new Eden that God is preparing. Stay with us, because what you're about to discover about this angel of weaponized beauty will change how you understand both the paradise humanity lost and the paradise that's coming. Imagine encountering beauty so perfect, so overwhelming, that your mind literally cannot process it without being destroyed. That's the reality of meeting Jophiel, the angel whose divine beauty has been transformed from a gift into a weapon. Unlike human beauty, which attracts and pleases, Jophiel's beauty operates on a supernatural level that can overwhelm human consciousness entirely. This isn't poetic exaggeration. It's a fundamental truth about the nature of divine beauty that most people never consider. Human beings were created to appreciate beauty, but fallen humanity can no longer safely encounter the full intensity of divine perfection. What once would have been pure joy and wonder now becomes devastating overwhelm. Jophiel's name, Beauty of God, reveals his original purpose in creation. He was designed to be a living expression of divine aesthetic perfection, a being whose very existence would inspire worship and awe. In the original creation, before sin entered the world, encountering Jophiel would have been the ultimate aesthetic experience, pure beauty that elevated and inspired without destroying. But when humanity fell and sin corrupted human nature, Jophiel's beauty became dangerous. Fallen minds cannot process perfect beauty without being overwhelmed by the contrast between divine perfection and human corruption. What should inspire now devastates. What should attract now repels. What should comfort now terrifies. This transformation of beauty into weapon wasn't a punishment for Jophiel. It was a strategic redeployment of his gifts for a new purpose. God didn't diminish Jophiel's beauty. Instead, he weaponized it, turning the angel's greatest strength into a tool for protecting sacred space and accomplishing divine purposes. The flaming sword that Jophiel wields isn't separate from his beauty. It's an extension of it. Ancient texts describe the sword as being forged from crystallized divine light, a weapon that cuts not just through physical matter, but through spiritual reality itself. When Jophiel draws this sword, he becomes a walking manifestation of divine beauty armed with divine power. But here's what makes Jophiel's transformation truly remarkable. He didn't lose his compassionate nature when he became a weapon. Ancient traditions describe him as one of the most emotionally sensitive angels, deeply affected by his role in humanity's exclusion from paradise. He guards Eden not with cold indifference, but with sorrowful necessity. This emotional complexity makes Jophiel unique among warrior angels. Michael fights with righteous anger, Camel brings justice without mercy, but Jophiel serves as a warrior who grieves for those he must exclude. His beauty becomes more poignant because it's wielded by someone who understands the tragedy of what humanity has lost. The sight of Jophiel at Eden's gates serves as a constant reminder of what paradise looked like and what it cost humanity to lose it. His presence is both invitation and warning, a glimpse of divine beauty that draws people toward what they've lost while simultaneously demonstrating why they can't yet return to it. Unlike other warrior angels who relish battle or approach their duties with stern determination, Jophiel guards Eden with a heart full of sorrow. Ancient texts describe him as the most emotionally affected angel in all of creation, deeply grieved by his role in keeping humanity separated from the paradise they were meant to inhabit. This grief isn't weakness or doubt about his mission, It's the natural response of a being created to inspire and uplift, being forced to exclude and restrict. Jophiel was designed to help humans experience divine beauty, not to use that beauty as a barrier against them. Every day he stands guard at Eden's gates represents a fundamental contradiction of his original purpose. But this emotional burden makes Jophiel the perfect guardian for Eden, because he never becomes callous or indifferent to his role. Other angels might eventually view their duties as routine, but Jophiel's grief ensures that he never loses sight of the tragedy he's witnessing. His sorrow keeps him motivated to fulfill his mission perfectly, knowing that any failure on his part would only add to humanity's suffering. The flaming sword he carries burns not just with divine fire, but with his own emotional intensity. Ancient sources describe how the sword's flames reflect Jophiel's inner state, burning brighter when his grief intensifies, shifting in color based on his emotional responses to the endless stream of humans who approach Eden seeking readmittance to paradise. This emotional connection between the Guardian and his weapon creates a unique form of spiritual warfare. When Jophiel draws his sword, he's not just wielding a tool, he's expressing his entire emotional reality through divine fire. The sword becomes an extension of his grief, his longing for humanity's restoration, and his determination to protect the sacred space until God's plan for redemption is complete. Perhaps most remarkably, Jophiel's grief actually enhances his effectiveness as a guardian. His emotional investment in humanity's situation makes him incredibly motivated to perform his duties flawlessly. He knows that every mistake he makes, every momentary lapse in vigilance, could result in unprepared humans gaining access to Eden and being destroyed by exposure to unfiltered divine presence. The weight of this responsibility affects everything about how Jophiel approaches his role. He's not just guarding a place, he's protecting people from experiencing something that would annihilate them in their current spiritual condition. His beauty and his sword serve as merciful barriers that save humans from destruction while maintaining the purity of sacred space. Ancient traditions describe how Jophiel sometimes appears to humans in dreams or visions, showing them glimpses of Eden's beauty while explaining why they cannot yet enter. These appearances aren't cruel taunting but compassionate education, helping people understand both what they've lost and what they can hope to regain through spiritual restoration. The angel's grief also serves a prophetic purpose, representing God's own sorrow over humanity's separation from paradise. Jophiel's emotional state reflects divine feeling about the fall and its consequences. His tears are heaven's tears. His longing is divine longing. His hope for humanity's restoration is God's own hope made visible through angelic expression. But Jophiel's sorrow isn't just about the past. It's about the present reality of human spiritual condition and the future possibility of restoration. Every soul he encounters at Eden's gates represents both the tragedy of what was lost and the potential for what can be regained. Jophiel's flaming sword isn't just a weapon. It's a tool that operates on levels of reality that human minds can barely comprehend. Ancient texts describe it as being forged from crystallized divine light, a substance that exists simultaneously in the physical and spiritual dimensions, making it capable of affecting both material and immaterial reality. When Jophiel draws this sword, he's wielding something that can cut through the very fabric of existence itself. The blade doesn't just slice through physical objects. It can sever spiritual connections, cut through dimensional barriers, and even slice through time itself when necessary. This makes it one of the most powerful weapons in all of creation, surpassing even the arsenal available to other warrior angels. But the sword's most terrifying capability is its ability to cut through deception and illusion. When Jophiel uses his weapon, it reveals absolute truth about everything it touches. Lies dissolve, pretenses crumble, and hidden realities become visible. This truth-revealing power makes the sword particularly effective for guarding Eden, where only those who are genuinely pure in heart should even approach. The flames that surround the blade aren't ordinary fire. Their divine essence made visible, burning at temperatures that exceed anything possible in the physical universe. These flames don't just destroy what they touch. They purify it, burning away everything that doesn't belong while preserving everything that does. This selective burning makes the sword perfect for discriminating between those who should and shouldn't enter sacred space. Ancient traditions describe how the sword's appearance changes based on the spiritual condition of those who encounter it. For the pure in heart, It appears as beautiful, dancing light that inspires awe and wonder. For those carrying guilt or rebellion, it appears as terrible, consuming fire that threatens immediate destruction. This adaptive appearance serves as both warning and invitation, showing people exactly where they stand spiritually. The sword also possesses the ability to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, allowing Jophiel to guard every possible entrance to Eden at once. While he appears as a single angel to human perception, his sword creates a spiritual barrier that surrounds the entire garden, making it impossible for anyone to enter from any direction without his knowledge and permission. Perhaps most remarkably, the sword serves as a bridge between the current fallen world and the restored paradise that God is preparing. When the time comes for Eden to be reopened, or for the new Eden to be established, Jophiel's sword will transform from a barrier into a gateway, cutting through the spiritual obstacles that currently separate humanity from paradise. The weapon's connection to divine beauty is crucial to understanding its function. Just as Jophiel's beauty became a weapon when humanity fell, his sword represents beauty weaponized for protective purposes. The same divine aesthetic perfection that once inspired now guards, the same light that once welcomed now warns, the same fire that once warmed now burns away impurity. But the sword also represents hope for future restoration. Its existence isn't permanent any more than humanity's exile from Eden is permanent. When God's plan for redemption reaches completion, when humanity is fully restored to its original spiritual condition, Jophiel's sword will no longer be needed as a barrier. Instead, it will become what it was always meant to be, a tool for revealing and celebrating divine beauty. The prophetic significance of the sword extends to its role in end-times events. Some traditions suggest that when Christ returns to establish his kingdom on earth, Jophiel's sword will be the instrument that cuts through the spiritual barriers separating the earthly and heavenly realms, allowing the new Eden to descend and merge with physical reality. The paradox of Jophiel's nature, beauty so perfect it becomes dangerous, reveals something profound about the relationship between divine perfection and human corruption. His overwhelming beauty serves as both promise and warning, showing humanity what they were created to experience while demonstrating why they can't safely encounter it in their current condition. When humans encounter Jophiel's beauty, their response reveals their spiritual state with absolute clarity. Those who have maintained some connection to divine grace experience his beauty as overwhelming but not destructive. They're drawn to it even while recognizing they can't fully process it. Those who have completely severed their connection to God experience his beauty as an assault on their corrupted nature, forcing them to flee in terror. This differential response makes Jophiel's beauty a perfect screening mechanism for determining who should be allowed near sacred space. Unlike human judgment, which can be deceived or manipulated, the response to divine beauty reveals the true condition of human hearts. No one can fake their reaction to encountering perfect divine aesthetics. But Jophiel's beauty doesn't just reveal spiritual condition. It also has the power to transform it. Prolonged exposure to his presence, for those who can endure it, gradually purifies human perception and elevates spiritual awareness. His beauty works like spiritual medicine, slowly healing the damage that sin has done to human aesthetic sensibility. This healing aspect of Jophiel's beauty explains why he's positioned at Eden's gates rather than simply hiding the garden completely. His presence serves as both barrier and treatment center, preventing unprepared souls from entering while providing opportunities for spiritual preparation to those who are genuinely seeking restoration. Ancient texts describe a process called beauty cultivation, where sincere seekers spend time in Jophiel's presence, gradually building their capacity to appreciate and endure divine beauty. This isn't just aesthetic training, it's fundamental spiritual rehabilitation, preparing souls for eventual readmittance to paradise by restoring their ability to safely encounter divine perfection. The destructive aspect of Jophiel's beauty serves a merciful purpose, protecting people from experiencing something that would annihilate them while simultaneously motivating them to seek spiritual preparation. The fear and overwhelm that corrupted souls experience in his presence isn't punishment. It's their own spiritual condition recognizing its inadequacy when confronted with perfection. But perhaps most remarkably, Jophiel's beauty serves as a preview of what awaits those who successfully complete the spiritual journey back to God. Every glimpse of his perfection, Every moment of overwhelming awe in his presence represents a foretaste of the aesthetic experiences that will be normal and safe for restored humanity in the new creation. This prophetic dimension of Jophiel's beauty makes every encounter with him significant beyond just the immediate experience. He's not just a guardian preventing access to a historical garden. He's a living promise of the aesthetic glory that awaits those who persevere in spiritual growth and preparation. The intensity of Jophiel's beauty also serves to calibrate human understanding of what paradise actually means. Most people think of Eden in terms of pleasant gardens and abundant fruit, but Jophiel's overwhelming presence reveals that paradise is primarily about unrestricted access to divine beauty and perfection. The garden itself was just the setting for aesthetic and spiritual experiences that transcend anything possible in the fallen world. Understanding this helps explain why such extreme measures are necessary to guard Eden. It's not just about protecting a place, it's about protecting access to types of experience that would destroy unprepared consciousness. Jophiel's beauty and his sword work together to ensure that only those who can safely handle divine intensity are allowed to proceed. Jophiel's mission as Guardian of Eden isn't permanent. It's a temporary assignment that will end when God's plan for human restoration reaches completion. Ancient prophecies describe a time when the Angel of Beauty will transform from barrier into gateway, when his flaming sword will cut open the way to paradise rather than sealing it shut. This prophetic dimension of Jophiel's role connects directly to biblical promises about the new heaven and new earth, where the curse of humanity's expulsion from Eden will be permanently reversed. But the reopening of paradise won't be a simple return to the original garden. It will be an elevation to something far greater than what Adam and Eve originally experienced. The prophecies describe how Jophiel's beauty will play a crucial role in preparing humanity for this restored access to divine presence. Rather than overwhelming and destroying corrupted human consciousness, his beauty will become the standard and the training ground for aesthetic experiences that will be normal in the new creation. When the time comes for paradise to be reopened, Jophiel's sword will perform its most important function, cutting through the spiritual barriers that currently separate the earthly and heavenly realms. This won't be destruction but revelation, removing the veils that hide divine reality from human perception and allowing full access to the beauty and perfection that have been preserved in Eden. But this opening won't happen all at once for everyone. Ancient texts suggest that Jophiel will serve as a guide and evaluator, helping to determine who is ready for full access to divine beauty and who needs additional preparation. His perfect ability to assess spiritual readiness makes him the ideal gatekeeper for this transition. The process of reopening Eden is described as happening in stages, with different groups of people gaining access based on their level of spiritual preparation. Those who have spent their lives cultivating divine beauty and seeking spiritual purity will be among the first to pass through Jophiel's gateway. Others will need to undergo additional purification before they can safely enter. This staged opening serves both practical and merciful purposes. Practically, it prevents the chaos that would result from everyone suddenly gaining access to divine perfection simultaneously. Mercifully, it ensures that no one is destroyed by premature exposure to beauty and truth they're not yet equipped to handle. Jophiel's emotional nature will make him particularly effective during this transition period. His grief over humanity's exclusion will transform into joy over their restoration, and his deep understanding of human spiritual condition will help him guide the process with perfect compassion and wisdom. The prophecies also describe how Jophiel's flaming sword will be transformed during this period. Instead of burning as a barrier, it will burn as illumination, lighting the way for returning souls and revealing the wonders of paradise that have been hidden from human eyes for millennia. Perhaps most remarkably, the reopening of Eden won't just restore what was lost. It will fulfill what was always intended. The original garden was meant to be humanity's starting point, not their permanent home. The new paradise that Jophiel will guard and guide access to will be the culmination of divine plans that extend far beyond simply undoing the consequences of the fall. This means that Jophiel's current sorrow over humanity's exclusion is preparing him for an even greater joy when he witnesses humanity's elevation to spiritual states that exceed even what Adam and Eve experienced before the fall. His beauty will no longer be a weapon of exclusion but an instrument of welcome and celebration. Understanding Jophiel's role as the angel whose beauty became a weapon should fundamentally change how you approach spiritual preparation and aesthetic appreciation. His existence proves that beauty isn't just decoration or entertainment. It's a form of divine revelation that requires spiritual readiness to appreciate safely. This means that cultivating your ability to appreciate and create beauty isn't just cultural refinement. It's spiritual preparation for encounters with divine perfection that are coming whether you're ready or not. Every moment you spend developing aesthetic sensitivity, every effort you make to recognize and create beauty, contributes to your readiness for the overwhelming beauty you'll eventually encounter. But preparing for Jophiel's beauty requires more than just aesthetic education. It requires spiritual purification. The reason his beauty becomes dangerous to corrupted souls isn't because beauty itself is harmful, but because corruption cannot safely encounter perfection. The preparation you need is moral and spiritual, not just cultural. This preparation involves developing what ancient texts call beauty tolerance, the spiritual capacity to encounter increasing levels of divine perfection without being overwhelmed or destroyed. This happens through regular exposure to whatever divine beauty is available in your current circumstances, gradually building your capacity for greater intensity. Prayer, worship, meditation on scripture, appreciation of natural beauty, creation of art that reflects divine principles. All of these activities serve as training for eventual encounters with Jophiel's overwhelming perfection. They're not just spiritual disciplines. They're preparation for aesthetic experiences that will be normal in the restored paradise. But perhaps most importantly, preparing for Jophiel's beauty requires developing the right relationship with divine authority and truth. His flaming sword cuts through deception and reveals absolute truth, which means that any self-deception, pride, or rebellion in your heart will be exposed when you encounter him. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect before meeting Jophiel. It means you have to be honest about your imperfection and genuinely committed to spiritual growth. His beauty is merciful toward those who acknowledge their need for purification, but devastating to those who approach him with pretense or presumption. The prophecies about Eden's reopening suggest that the time for this preparation may be shorter than most people realize. Current events, spiritual awakenings, and increasing manifestations of divine beauty in unexpected places all suggest that the barrier between earthly and heavenly beauty may be thinning. Understanding Jophiel's dual nature, beauty that both destroys and heals, should also affect how you respond to beauty in your daily life. Every beautiful sunset, every moving piece of music, every moment of aesthetic transcendence is a small preview of what encountering Jophiel will be like, but magnified beyond human comprehension. This means that your response to earthly beauty reveals something about your readiness for heavenly beauty. If you consistently ignore, abuse, or corrupt the beauty available to you now, you're demonstrating that you're not prepared for the infinite beauty that Jophiel represents. But if you cultivate appreciation, create beauty whenever possible, and use aesthetic experiences as opportunities for worship and spiritual growth, you're building the spiritual capacity that will allow you to safely and joyfully encounter divine beauty when the time comes. The most important truth about preparing for Jophiel's beauty is that the preparation itself is beautiful. Spiritual growth, moral purification, aesthetic development, and divine relationship building are all inherently beautiful processes that make life more meaningful and joyful even before you encounter perfect divine beauty. The story of Jophiel, the angel whose perfect beauty became a weapon of exclusion and promise of restoration, reveals one of the most profound truths about divine nature and human destiny. We were created for beauty, designed to experience and participate in divine aesthetic perfection, but our spiritual corruption has temporarily made such encounters dangerous rather than delightful. Understanding Jophiel's role as Guardian of Eden should change how you view both the paradise humanity lost and the paradise that's coming. The flaming sword that currently keeps us out will eventually cut open the way back in, but the transition requires spiritual preparation that determines whether divine beauty will destroy or transform you.